As I sit here single, eating my dinner for one, in my bed, which is very real. I know you do it, we all do it. Listen, I'm here to tell you to embrace your single moments. We spend so much time when we are single wishing we were not single that we don't even get to enjoy it. It's inevitable. You're gonna get into a relationship. You will, I promise you.
Are you sure?
Well, you're half right. Enjoying the peaceful single moments in life and appreciating being able to eat a meal in peace is something that's almost exclusively appreciated by single men who have better things to do with their time than wasting on a woman who's over the age of 30.
I know, a lot of us wish it was sooner rather than later, but listen, maybe not. Maybe lean in, because I know one day I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna be tired, and I'm gonna wanna cook for my boyfriend, and I'm gonna want him to shut the f up and leave me alone, but I'm gonna have to cook dinner for 2. And maybe one day I'm gonna have to cook dinner for 3 or 4 or 5. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna go down here.
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
Well, judging from that mysterious slop you got in that bowl there, I think it's safe to assume that imaginary boyfriend of yours isn't going to be all that hungry when he comes home every night. And if you can't cook for 2, what makes you think you're going to be able to cook for 3 or 4 or even 5? I'm just kidding. You'll never have to worry about that. Ever.
Some sucker's gonna get me, or I'm gonna get some sucker, and I'm gonna wish that I could just sit down in my apartment by myself and eat a meal in bed without distractions. He's probably gonna want to, you know, he's probably gonna like do some annoying. Is it? He won't be single forever, I promise. I think. I don't know you. Probably not. Maybe you want to be single.
Well, I guess the good news is it doesn't matter what you want. What matters is if other people want you. And you've already created scenarios in your head to be mad at a boyfriend who doesn't exist, and you're already coming up with excuses as to why you don't want to do the bedroom bounce with this man who only exists in the ethereal plane. And if that's what you need to do to help you sleep at night, then feel free, sister, because outside of eating, that's the only feeling you're gonna get in that bed.
This might not be the norm, but here's another feminine energy dating hack that I use on like first, second dates to really see if a guy is in his healthy masculine or not. Now this one is really simple, but here's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna do anything. You are not going to lift a finger when there is something that needs problem solving. So for example, I was on a date with this guy and we went to dinner, it was great, and he wasn't really from the area, but he wanted to go out to ice cream after. And instead of me being like, okay, yeah, let me look it up, let me find a place, like da-da-da, like I feel like I can really just, you know, be go, go, go and take a grasp on these things, I was just like, yeah, like just letting him have the space to see if he was going to be able and competent enough to figure out a good spot for us to get ice cream, like on the fly.
That is the worst idea I've ever heard in my life, Tom.
Yes, it's horrible, this idea.
That's not a hack, that's just doing what you always do. Just make the man make all of the decisions and justify it as a competency test. But what choice are you giving this poor guy? You've yet to prove to me at least that you're competent enough to successfully operate a mall toilet, and your nonchalant attitudes towards this idea will just convince him that you're not interested, and he'll probably end the date early with insisting that you pay for half of the dinner bill.
And this, my girls, will always show you. It seems so simple, but the more you just like take a step back and observe and see how he acts in certain situations, if he can lead and take care and manage things, that is how you're gonna know if a guy is in his healthy masculine or not, so that you don't have to be in your masculine energy the entire relationship, because how it starts is usually how it will continue to progress.
Well, I hate to break it to you, sister, but this ain't the 1950s anymore. You can't expect a man to do all of the heavy lifting when it comes to these dates. You demanded equality, and in the magical world of equality, you are expected to do your fair half of the work, which means paying for half of the dates, showing genuine interest in a man, and participating in finding your own damn ice cream. Now, even if any of this wasn't true, if you still feel the need to manipulate a man in order for you to feel feminine, then there's no hope for you. Enjoy the cats.
You still have cat hair on you?
A little.
You know, I don't really feel like I ever went through like an awkward phase. I've always been pretty confident, even when I was younger. I was always very Well, you know, I've been my whole life and I've always been a huge flirt. I was always like getting in trouble at school and in church for flirting and talking and lifting up my skirt and all those things. Like,
okay, that's just gross.
Nothing that you've just stated is something that should be said with any form of pride. In fact, it's something that you really shouldn't be doing at all. By loudly proclaiming that you've always done lewd things in houses of worship just goes to show that you're not only a massive failure at life, but so are your parents. And considering your current profession in the, shall we say, industry, I think it's safe to assume you figured out a way to embarrass them even further.
and I just thought I had so much fun doing those things, you know? And I just genuinely loved being openly sexual, not even just keeping it a secret and just like eating at home. Like I would, you know, I loved dressing sexy. I loved tying up my shirt and dancing to Britney Spears music and, you know, and I didn't just enjoy my sexuality. I enjoyed sharing it and being open about it.
Nobody cares, Sean. Nobody cares.
There may have been a lot of idiot girls who danced around to Britney Spears, but it was the late 90s. Everyone was an idiot back then. But even back then, a lot of broads still had enough sense to not openly sleep around and brag about it afterwards. At one point, you seem to have held the position of village bicycle with some sort of pride. But after that particular stench builds up, you've become the broken down moped. You look like rotted out garbage, riding you would be rocky at best, and anybody seen with you is not only ashamed of themselves, they're also in dire need of a tetanus shot and some antibiotics.
Well, I got lumbago. It's very serious.
Okay, I also want to do a video today for the men. I rarely talk about this, but there's a thing, okay, that happens to men. You know, men think they have no expiration date, really. I ran into a guy yesterday that I recognized. He didn't know me, but I knew exactly who he was because he's what I call a usual suspect. So men become what I call a usual suspect when they've been single and in the scene so long, they've basically aged out. So now they're in their 50s and they're still chasing those 20-something-year-old girls. And then they're becoming like that old gross creeper guy. They're starting to color their hair and it never looks real. It becomes embarrassing.
Well, I guess I'm failing to see why what that man does is any of your business. Now, it is true, I do agree, men do age, and some more gracefully than others. However, if a man dedicates himself to keeping himself physically fit, financially stable, and living the kind of life that he wants to lead, then he can get a substantial extension to that expiration date. And by that point, if a woman pursues him willingly, then that's her business and not yours. Now, I get it. You want a man your age to pursue you, but that's not going to happen. You post cringe on TikTok. No man would ever be willing to risk that kind of humiliation.
So guys, please be aware that your time clock does absolutely expire depending on what you're looking for. But if you're, especially those guys in major cities that remain single, you do become that guy. Everybody's like, oh, that guy with the dyed hair, the creeper guy. He's still now so old chasing those same young girls he's always been chasing. But it doesn't work after a certain age unless you're prepared to pay for it. And I don't mean with a matchmaker. I don't mean with a matchmaker.
So if this guy is hitting on girls and constantly getting rejected and nobody's being physically harmed in the process, then why do you care? It's not like doing this is gonna make men see the light and pursue you romantically. There's nothing worth pursuing there. You're making fun of a man you know nothing about on TikTok and pretending it's a warning to all of the other men out there. So I think we need to take a second to appreciate the irony of a woman who's clearly aged out of the dating market, who is taking time out of her day to lecture men about how they can age out of the dating market.
But if you're still looking for that perfect girl to be your wife, and you still want her to be 25, 27, 28, and you are getting up there, you're getting so far away from the target at that point that the only way you're gonna get them is to pay for them. You know what I mean? All right, I hope it helps.
So if a young man dates a woman, he no longer has to pay for it? That's one of the many things that men are expected to do for the entire duration of a relationship, woman. The only difference between what men do in relationships and the act that you're insinuating does run the risk of coming into contact with your friendly neighborhood vice squad, still requires money at the end of the day. And what a man does with his money is, once again, none of your business. So do the world a favor. Instead of judging men that you don't know for what they do with their free time, just go away and mind your own business. Society isn't gonna thank you, but you should do it anyway.